tracking developments for us in Braamfontein. He's covering the Unite Against Corruption March. He joins us now live from the Nelson Mandela Bridge. Good morning to you again, Nickolaus. Give us a sense of whether or not you've had more people gather there in preparation to walk across Nelson Mandela Bridge as they voice their dissatisfaction with Jacob Zuma's presidency.
Well, yes, good morning to you live from Nelson Mandela Bridge. Now, you can see behind me here the scenes that you're seeing on your TV screen right now isn't the full extent of people that are gathered here for the Zuma Must Fall Unite Against Corruption March. I'm unable to put my finger on the exact numbers that have gathered here today, but we're looking at least around 1,000 people. A lot of people gathered down the Smith Service Street that just goes off the side of Nelson Mandela Bridge, and we have just managed to catch up with one of the Unite Against Corruption leaders, Zuma. He's just joined us here on Nelson Mandela Bridge. Good morning to you, Mr. Vavi. What is today about exactly?
This is about sending a message that says we need reconciliation, but not reconciliation with corruption. We want to bury corruption. This is part and parcel of the struggles that we launched early this year to roll the awareness of our people, to highlight the scourge of corruption that is threatening to destroy our future. Of course, today is the 16th of December, happens just a few days after one of the biggest scandals committed by a government led by the president, who removed a minister of finance who's not our friend, but which is an indication of yet another attempt to hollow out, to domesticate, and to blunt all the instruments of democracy. The NPA is history, the Scorpions, the intelligence, the SABC, the SAA, the Petro SA, the list goes on. They were now wanting to grab the treasury for the interest of clearly the entrepreneurs who are eating from the carcass of our state.
Mr. Vavi, this march has come in for a fair amount of criticism that it represents quite narrow interests in society, further critics saying that it's overwhelmingly white and middle class. What's your response to that today?
But you see yourself, they said that this is a white march. There's no white-dominated march. This is a non-racial crowd. People are scared. They're going to run away from the shadows. I guess that someday people who believe in socialism, they claim, will run away the day socialism arrives. What is the problem when we identify with the cause? The cause here is that President Jacob Zuma have demonstrated beyond any reasonable doubt that he doesn't have what it takes to be a leader of a sophisticated democracy and economy. His presence and his continued presence in government is leading to what we're seeing the figures pointing to. We've lost 200 billion rands, which flew out of the economy because of the reckless actions that are not informed by any political or sound economic considerations, except the narrow interest of a particular faction. Our people are hard-fought. Tired, we cannot take anymore, and that's why I extend this call on not only about Jacob Zuma but also about the rest of the leadership collective that sat and did nothing when every step was being taken to undermine and destroy every of the pillars, the foundations of our democracy. They were there. They either pushed their heads under the sand or they gave him a round of applause. Recently, as yesterday, the ANC said, round of applause for our marvelous leader. Last week, when our president said the ANC comes first, another round of applause. When the public protector was being undermined, the minister being asked to completely rubbish and whitewash a report, they were there to give a round of applause. When 246 million rands of South Africa's taxpayers was wasted in a private presidential palace, they were there to give a round of applause. When the Guptas were landing a plane in the Waterkloof they were there to give a round of applause or to shift the blame to the bureaucrats.
So
therefore, this is a failure of the leadership collective, and that's why all of them must go.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vavi. That's Zuma Vavi, one of the leaders of the Unite Against Corruption March, joining us live here on the Nelson Mandela Bridge. He's heading off now to the march here. As I said, we're unable to put our exact finger on the numbers that are gathered here today, but the pictures that you're seeing on your TV screen right now isn't the full extent of the amount of people that are gathered here. A heck of a lot of people also gathered down the Smith Service Street that's just off Nelson Mandela Bridge. And as you heard Zuma Vavi say here, it's not only a Zuma Must Fall march, a march against the presidency of Jacob Zuma, but the dearth of leadership that many people gathered here today feel has come to characterize the ANC over the past period here in South Africa.
Nickolaus, give us a sense of the course that the demonstrators are going to take once the march officially begins.
Well, from what I understand, as I see the Metro Police vehicles and SAPS vehicles gathered up here at the head of the march, I'm not too sure exactly what time the march will deploy, but from my understanding, they will march across Nelson Mandela Bridge and gather at the bottom of Nelson Mandela Bridge on the Newtown side. And I can only imagine also hear from various representatives from organizations that are here today. It's not only organizations such as Unite Against Corruption. This march was also organized by organizations such as Section 27, and also it must be said that while it could be seen as a march that doesn't represent the interests of all people here in society, there are quite a decent cross-section of South Africans here gathered today to voice their concern against the political leadership in South Africa.
All right, Nick, that's where we're going to leave it for now. Nickolaus Bauer is at the Nelson Mandela Bridge in Braamfontein ahead of that march that's scheduled to take place in the Johannesburg CBD. We'll keep taking you back to Nickolaus as soon as that protest gets underway. One of the messages to the president is to put the country first. There was an appeal from religious leaders. The South African Council of Churches met with the president yesterday to discuss his shock moves in the finance ministry.
Church leaders haven't minced their words when responding to the axing of ex-finance minister Nhlanhla Nene.